G'day, I'm Nick Topham and this is the introductory training for ProductRex. Today we're going to be running through a fairly basic rollover scenario and it should be enough to get you started using ProductRex. While we're doing this training, you should follow along in your own account. The steps are pretty basic, really. This is just enough to get you started. Okay, I've logged in. You can see this screen. This is the home screen. Up the top is where we put a new client in. And we can see our existing clients below. So all pretty straightforward. If you wanted to access one of those existing clients, you can of course click on it. Today, however, I'm going to add in a brand new client. So we're going to put the client's name in. We're going to select the risk profile. You may see some risk profiles that are unfamiliar there. If that is the case, it's because that's just our standard set, our default set. Of course, these are customizable and I do encourage you to do so if you haven't already. Please just contact support, clicking the help button up the top, and we'll help you out with that. In any case, click begin, and we're going to create a new client. You can see down the bottom here, we've got three categories: current, recommended, and alternative. So these are the statuses of our platforms. So when I talk about platforms, we're really just talking about groups of investments. It doesn't necessarily have to be, a wrap account as such. It could be an industry super fund, it could be a pension account, it could be an investment wrap, investment bond. You can create custom platforms. It's just a group of investments. So please think about that. And this is the status that they currently are. So again, today we're going to go through a rollover scenario. I'm going to click on current platform. You'll see our full list there. And I'm just going to select one from the top of the list. Of course, you can type in, whatever you like to search for a platform. I'm going to say we're going to go from Active Super, and that's what the client's currently in. Hit plus, you'll see we've created our platform on the screen, and you can then click into it and start to add some investments. You'll see this box down the bottom here that says add an investment by typing a name. Simply click that and select or search for the investment you like. Of course, as this is an industry fund, we have limited options. So I'm just going to choose growth, and we're going to put 500K in there to keep it simple for this scenario. Hit plus on the right, you can see our investment has been added. And you can see some fees and asset allocation have started to appear, and you can mouse over and see some detail on that asset allocation. If you want to see more detail of an investment, click this little arrow button on the right-hand side, and it will expand and actually show you things like the asset allocation, fees, buy-sell spreads where applicable on an investment by investment basis, and you can edit that if you really want to. Okay, we've added in Active Super, we've added in an investment. We're going to click the Jane client up the top here. And that's going to take us back to our platform scroll, our scenario view. So this is really our main working page for this client. You can see we've got Active Super in current, and now I'm going to add in a recommendation. So in this case, we're going to recommend net wealth. So I'm going to click here, type in net wealth, and select the one we want to add. So I've added that in. We can then click into the net wealth platform and start to build up our recommendations. Now, you can do exactly the same thing that we just did. You can click on this investment list, search for an investment, for example, Magellan, click it and add it in. So you can just go ahead and do that and add it in line by line if you wish. It's worth noting, of course, because this is a wrap account, we've got full list of managed funds, equities, all that sort of stuff in this list because you do have those more options. Just for argument's sake, I'm also going to drop in an equity. An Australian listed equity, just for argument's sake in this case. And you can see our account starting to be built up. We've got 100K balance, our fees are starting to come through. So that's if you wanted to add managed funds, ETFs, ASX equities, all that sort of stuff. Up the top right, if you do want to add in or recommend SMAs, click the Add SMA button and follow the links in that drop down. We're just going to go ahead and do that. Here we go. I'm going to choose this Beta Shares one that's at the top. Drop it in, same kind of thing. So SMAs are up the top. If you do have model portfolios, of course you can build them by clicking the account settings screen up the top. I'm not going to go through how to set them up in this video. There is videos in our YouTube channel showing you how to set that up. It is very straightforward, but of course you can go to add model over here once you've created them. I'm just going to choose one that I've already created and drop in, let's say, I'm going to make it 250,000 in this case. And of course, that will basically add in those investments in your model portfolio with their preset weightings. Finally, the last thing I'm going to show you, because it does come up, of course, if you have cash accounts. If you click here, type in cash, you'll see there are a couple of preset cash options. the big benefit to using those rather than anything else is it will note it as a cash account if it is applicable for perhaps fee calculations for those platforms. And it will also allocate the appropriate investment fee based on the platform's cash rate. So I've added in this recommendation for this client. Again, I'm going to go back to Jane Client up the top here, and you can see we've created a current to recommended, a really basic kind of rollover scenario. What you might then like to do is make some alternative recommendations. So the best way to do this in this case is to do what we call a dupe and switch. So I'm going to duplicate net wealth by clicking this button. Then I'm going to click and drag it over to alternatives, make it an alternative. And then I'm going to hit this button here that says switch platform. And in this case, we might like to compare it with, for example, a Hub. So I've selected Hub as my platform, and you can see really quickly, basically I've kept those underlying recommended investments, but I've used the Hub platform fees. It's worth noting in this tutorial as well that all of these are rack rates. If you have rate cards, for example, for any product, whatever it may be, please let us know and we can load them in as defaults. It's very, very easy to do, and of course you need to do that. So I've done one dupe and switch. Of course, you can do another one if you wish. You can really quickly spin off those alternatives. I've done one for net wealth. I might do one for first strap as well, for example, whatever it may be. Really quick way to do your alternative research. If you didn't want to do a dupe and switch, or perhaps it wasn't appropriate, you can, of course, just go through, add in an alternative platform like we did for current and recommended, and pop in some investments, one by one or by portfolio. So that's totally okay as well. So you can see now what we've done is we've gone active, super to net wealth, and we've got a couple of alternatives, which is a pretty sound kind of scenario. At this point, it might be time to go and actually generate our document. We do that up the top right. You'll see this button here that says Get ProductRex. Click that, click this big green button, and it's going to go ahead and generate our output. Now, ProductRex is not looking to produce an SOA or an ROA. Really what we're looking to do is give you all the data, all the tables required around product recommendations so you can do your SOA. I don't mind how you do it in another system, do it in Word, and you can grab our data and drop them straight into your SOA. As you can see, if I open up this document, it does just come out in Word. By default, it will use our, what we call theme, so our colors and formatting. This is customizable. We do it free of charge, and I really do encourage you to take us up on that offer. Again, contact support. We'll let you know what we need to customize that for you. But you can see our output document has things like our product recommendations. It has things like our product comparison and our full breakdown of fees. All the things you would expect around product recommendation, things like asset allocation, things like your charts, brokerage, etc., etc. So that's our output. Really, really easy to do, as you can see. So that's, if I click back to Jane Client and we go back to our scenario view, that's a really quick scenario we've just run through here. It's a really basic rollover scenario for what might be a new client. But of course, ProductRex can really handle any product recommendations that you have. For example, if you were doing a rebalance, you might have net wealth in current with the current portfolio, and net wealth also in the recommended with the recommended portfolio. That's totally acceptable. Your tables will merge appropriately in your output. That works as well. If you're doing an investment wrap account, for example, you might have cash in current and an investment wrap in recommended. If you're doing a consolidation of super, you might have multiple super accounts in current, one super account in recommended. So it's just a matter of thinking about how to group those platforms so that they accurately represent what's happening with the client. So that's a very quick run through, and I encourage you to follow those same steps and have a play around, mimic what you do with clients to see how that works. There are, however, a few other things I'm going to leave you with. The first one, very important, comes up a lot, is family fee aggregation. So we handle it in two ways. The first way is if you simply have two accounts, for example, you can see I've got net wealth. If I just duplicate that, if I just have two net wealth accounts, the system will understand that they are linked. You'll see my fees will drop from $3,600 to $3,200. If I click this family fee linking button, you'll see it knows. And that works across, super and investment, super and pension, whatever. It knows that they're in the same group. That's the first way to do family fee aggregation. The second way is if Perhaps you want to link this client to a sibling or a parent or a child, and you don't want their account in there. If you click the family fee linking button, and you'll see there's an area here called manual adjustment. So let's say this client is linked to a parent who's got $1 million. You can type in $1 million, hit save, and again, it will apply that family fee linking. They both kind of have similar functionality, but of course you will use them in different situations. You'll see it's going to update our fees and kind of bring that through as well. So that's family fee linking, and that's what I wanted to show you. The other thing I wanted to show you, and this applies a lot to, of course, account rebalances. Up the top right here, you'll see import platform. If you click that, you'll see we have all the major apps listed. All of these pieces will essentially allow you to import data from those providers. Again, following that vein of net wealth. If I click that, you'll see there's a little video over here. That's attached to each of them. Watch the video. It will show you how this works. I highly, highly recommend using that import platform when you're doing account rebalances. It will save you an enormous amount of time. So those are two things I did want to show you. There is, of course, a lot more functionality which you will use in ProductRex. These are kind of base functions, and it's what you need to know to kind of reliably create scenarios. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. This was the ProductRex introductory training.